Greetings, I am Tom Earl. On this week's episode, we talk about purposeful moving for a purposeful life with the brilliant Arielle Miller Cohen. Greetings, I am Tom Earl, and this is my year of grace. I know you could be anywhere, so the fact that you are here today, sharing your greatest gifts, your time and your energy means the world to me. I hope you know that you are loved and appreciated just where you are. As you can see or sense, I am not alone. I have an amazing guest. She goes by the name of Arielle. What's going on?
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
I'm really excited to be here.
I appreciate that. You mind if I read the good folks out there?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So for those who don't know, Arielle Miller Cohen is a 200-hour registered yoga teacher and lifestylist in the greater Los Angeles area. She holds additional certificates in
Booty
and
what was it? Oh, street yoga, yes.
Boom.
There are two different types of yoga.
It's like a team poem right
Okay.
here. As well as in Schwinn indoor cycling. Side note, went to school with one of the sons or grandsons of Schwinn.
Schwinn?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, his last name was Schwinn. I think it was his grandpa.
But like Schwinn, like
The
the bike
Schwinn.
or Schwinn?
Yeah. Oh, the
Wow,
bike.
That's pretty fancy.
Is this different than Schwinn the bike?
We ride Schwinn bikes.
Okay,
We ride
dope.
Schwinn bikes. So I'm going to assume it's the same person.
Yeah.
But
Hope this is okay. I'm interrupting your
No,
bio
go,
commentary.
go ahead. I like it.
As a lifelong lover of health and wellness and former collegiate athlete, Arielle was determined to bring the transformative power of fitness to the world while inspiring people to cultivate the whole self from the inside out. An avid reader and lover of words, Arielle is an active blogger and writer. An amazing blog, by the way. I highly recommend it. She believes strongly that the cathartic energy of physical movement can enact great positive changes in people's lives. Arielle aims to bring people together and form community through her dynamic yoga, classes, and dexterity with the pen. Oops, keyboard.
See what I did there?
I did. I like that.
I was trying to be witty.
It was very witty. That's why I had to read it. A compassionate but also firm presence needed to help elevate people to see their truest potential. Arielle utilizes her training as a veteran public school teacher with a master's degree in leadership. Let's snap it up for teachers. Yes, indeed. Whether you are looking to shake up your life or overhaul it, or just get in an extra cardio session, Arielle can help guide you towards whatever it is you are striving to achieve. Her goal is to help people transcend what they thought was possible by looking inward so that they may shine outward.
I may say that was expertly written.
Yeah. Did you write this?
Yes, I did.
With that master's
I
degree
wonder
to
who
work.
wrote. I know. I had an English degree as well, so I could hope that I could write.
Where did this journey of badassery and amazingness start?
Badassery. I'd like to think that my whole life I've been kind of a rogue person. I've always marched to my own tune, or my mom says, your own drummer. Same thing. I've always just been a little bit eccentric and okay with that. So kind of like frame it. When I was in high school and I had my high school yearbook signed, which I still have my high school yearbook.
Okay. Yes.
People wrote in there that they admired my spirit, that I was so comfortable being myself, and I didn't succumb to peer pressure. And it's like, I admire that about you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just always been who I am, ingrained in myself. It's just like, I hear a different rhythm when we listen to music. I don't care what is norm or accepted or normal or okay. And I'm okay with being outside of what we think is supposed to be compartmentalized.
Yeah. When you hear people talk about qualities they admire in people, that's often one of them that, oh, you don't care what people think, or you like do your thing. Where did that come from, do you think? I know you're saying it. I've always had it, but how do you stay that path of listening to your own rhythm rather than saying, let me conform and play to the tune that society says I should do?
It came from a place initially of fake it till you make it. I've always possessed this innate ability to understand that the messaging and the image that I portray to you is how you're going to view me. And I always was adept enough to understand and know that if I portrayed insecurity, lack of confidence, I didn't believe in myself, that I didn't love myself, that you would pick up on that. So early on, while I may not have really liked who I was, or I may have been struggling with how I viewed my body, I never felt like I was inadequate intellectually, but it was always like physically being a woman and my body never being good enough. And I'm also short, so I always had this heavy burden of never being good enough. And I knew that if I wanted to be taken seriously, I had to portray that. So it eventually becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You fake it till you make it. So you tell yourself something enough and eventually you believe it. That doesn't mean that I don't experience self-doubt, because I do, like anyone else. And that doesn't mean that I sometimes don't feel like I'm inadequate, because I do. But it's rerouting myself to come back and remember, like, I am so worthy and I'm so awesome. And I may not be everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay. You need to be okay with the fact that you're not going to resonate with everyone on every level. As long as you are a good person doing good things and shining light in the world, like, it's A-okay with me.
You got to appreciate your own cup of tea.
Exactly.
So you were a collegiate athlete. Have you always then been into fitness?
I've always been into athletics. I was trying to think of, for a lack of better term, I was called a tomboy growing up.
Okay.
I always played with the boys. I never understood why the girls would sit on the side and why the boys played football at lunch, or why the boys played kickball. And I always wanted to be part of that. So as a very young girl, I was overweight. I got made fun of mercilessly for it. My family grew up and we didn't have much money, and I didn't have cool clothes. I didn't have cool shoes. And I got taunted on the bus to and from school. And being overweight, it was like a social suicide. You know, it was a recipe for disaster. I was made fun of for liking sports. As a child, kids would call me butch or lesbo, and I had no idea what these things meant. And I'd come home and I'd say, Mom, the kids are calling me butch because I'm playing kickball at lunch. And my mom explained to me what this meant. It wasn't until I realized it was a negative thing that I even realized it was a negative thing. So my whole life I've been into sports. I got cut from the middle school volleyball team, which led me to pursue other things. But I played softball, and I played lacrosse, and I played soccer. And then that led into adulthood, pursuing other kinds of fitness interests. So I guess I've always really enjoyed movement in some sort of capacity.
What was the college sport you played?
Lacrosse.
Lacrosse? What are some lessons you learned about lacrosse? I'm from Wisconsin. We didn't have lacrosse.
You definitely didn't, because it's freezing. So it's like, and it's crazy because it's like the oldest sport. It's a Native American sport, and it's not an Olympic sport. And it kind of breaks my heart because it's the oldest sport, yet it's not an Olympic sport.
And it doesn't seem that expensive. You kind of just need a stick with
and a ball.
A net.
Yeah. A stick and a ball, but it's actually pretty brutal, and it's kind of fantastic in that respect. But you need space, so it's not really a city sport, because you need space. It's
like a field.
It's played on a soccer-sized field. It's slightly larger, but I got into lacrosse in my 9th grade in high school for 2 reasons. Softball, which I had been playing and had been very successful, was highly saturated. It's a very popular sport. Lots of girls play softball, and lots of girls are good at softball.
Yeah.
I still remember to this day being in the locker room, and some of my girlfriends were like, "Oh, we're going to go out for the lacrosse team." And I was like, "What's lacrosse?" And they're like, "Oh, it's just a cool sport, you know, that you run around and you have sticks and you have to hit each other." I was like, "Yes, it's amazing." So I thought, though, given the fact that lacrosse is not a very popular sport, and I'm talking to my parents, and the seasons were the same for softball and lacrosse. You had to pick one. You couldn't play both. Talked to my mom. My mom's like, well, you need to pick one because ideally this is what's going to get you to college. So I picked lacrosse, tried out for the team. They took everyone on junior varsity. I got moved up to varsity very shortly after with 2 other freshmen, and we played varsity all 4 years, which was, I just like to say, a big feat.
Yeah, that is. That's badass.
So I had never played the sport in my life and got moved up to varsity.
You're one of the best.
You know, so was that say about our talent pool? I don't know. But so I played lacrosse up through college. And I even played briefly when I moved out here. I would commute down to San Diego. But I stopped playing in my early 20s, I'd say.
So you were a professional athlete in college athlete while also getting your degree?
Yes. And I was a dual major in college as well. And I worked and played lacrosse. So I've always been hyper-agended. I don't know how to be any other way. And lacrosse was amazing. I wish that I possessed the knowledge that I have now back in my 19-year-old self, because I was a very different person than I am today.
What would have been your letter to your 19-year-old self?
Where do I begin? I struggled a lot with my own emotions. I could have benefited my team and myself by getting out of my own way. For example, I struggled with ownership. Everyone else was the problem. I wasn't playing, and it wasn't because I wasn't conditioned enough. It wasn't because I wasn't good enough. It was because coach was a B and wasn't playing me. Coach hates me, you know, and that's why I wasn't liked by the coach. That's why I wasn't playing. And the reality of the situation was twofold. Was I wasn't conditioned enough and I wasn't good enough. And I had a bad attitude and didn't deserve to play. I didn't deserve to play, plain and simple. And I was, you know, one of the earlier subs off the bench, and I had a fair amount of playing time in college. I never started a college game, and I had a couple of goals. And the biggest thing that I walk away from, and I don't really believe in regrets, it's more like a reflective process, as I look back at college and I look back at the relationships that are missed opportunities because I don't have relationships with any of my former teammates, is that I wish that my 36-year-old old lady self could say, you know, be open, accept that you are not where you need to be, and, you know, hustle for the muscle kind of thing, put in the work. And I didn't, but, you know, hindsight's always 20/20.
That ownership thing seems to be such a remedy for so many leadership situations, and yet it's such a challenge for many folks to move from the blame to owning. Where did you start to have this conversation with yourself and embrace this ownership?
Well, I like what you said about the blame and then the ownership. So the mark of true leadership and a good leader is not blaming other people for your lack of success. And if you think about anyone you've ever worked with or serviced in this world, a good leader recognizes where they could grow, recognizes capacity in a team. A leader that is maybe out for themselves, which sometimes happens in a lot of situations, is going to point a finger and say, we're not successful because you didn't do this. No, it's a we thing, right? It took a long time for me to really take ownership in any endeavor in my life. It wasn't until my late 20s, very late 20s, 28, 29, when I found yoga. Changed my life. And to the point where I can cry talking about it, because yoga saved me from myself.
Can you tell us a little bit about that journey?
Oh my God. It's a long journey. It's a long journey, but you know, and it's like, you know, when people say long story short, and it's not a long story short, it's like,
and halfway through an hour-long story, they're like, long story short.
Yes. So it's going to be like a long story short, but I'm going to really try to condense it. I had been grappling with severe depression and anxiety. I have struggled with depression my entire life, and it had been paralyzing. I struggled. I cried on my way to work, cried on the way home, laid in a fetal position, cried myself to sleep. And it had gotten to the point where it had affected my ability to be able to do my job. I filed for a leave of absence for my full-time job. A condition of the leave of absence was I had to go to depression and anxiety, like group therapy, and I had to be seeing a psychologist. I had to go talk about someone. I couldn't just take a medical leave from work and not do anything. So at the time, part of the things that was discussed in our groups was yoga and meditation. I'm from New York. I come from a very mixed background. My mother is Italian and my father is Eastern European. And they're very stereotypical, you know, New Yorkers.
Okay.
And it's not a bad thing, but the energy is very hot in my family. And we communicate by yelling, and that's how we speak to each other. And the idea of yoga was so foreign to me. I couldn't even wrap my head around it. Even to this day, my dad doesn't call it yoga. He's like, that yoga stuff. You know, and so and I feel like that's like so sacrilegious. But even it was like, I don't do yoga. I'm going to sit on a floor and I'm and it was like, I couldn't even wrap my head around why someone would show up to something, sit on a floor, breathe, and leave. Like, I couldn't understand it. My doctor was like, on the other side of the room, she's like, but I can feel your energy. And it was as simple as one day, I was living in Silver Lake. I lived around the corner from a place called Yaz. Yoga and spinning is what it stood for. And that studio is now closed. I woke up one day and I said to my boyfriend at the time, I'm going to yoga. And he looks at me and he's like, yoga? I was like, yeah, I'm going to yoga today. I just put on my gym clothes and I walked to the yoga class. And I will tell you that it was love at the first inhale and exhale. And it was the right studio and the right class at the right time in my life. And that is the power of a good group fitness class, is it can transform you. Conversely, the power of a bad group fitness class can demoralize you, but that's a whole other story. And it was that moment in time that I was like, I am home. And I bought a membership and I bought a package. And I was going to yoga as much as I could. And it just grew from there. It grew to exploring other studios. It grew to the point where then I had to teach this. I had to give this to other people. And within a matter of months, from a consistent yoga practice, I was able to comfortably wean myself off of medication that I had been taking to quell my depression and my anxiety. And I'm not going to say that yoga is a cure-all for depression and anxiety. At the time, it's what I needed. And I truly, firmly believe that pharmaceuticals are very important for people that are grappling with depression and anxiety. At that time, though, I was able to successfully move beyond what I had been taking at the time and pull myself out of this darkness. It was like, I hate to go like Bird Box, but it was like this veil had been lifted when I started to find yoga. Compassion, empathy, that had always been tenets that I had lived by, but it was totally different. It was a whole new world. And I was able to have respect for myself, respect for others. And then that's when that shift happened. When I was able to start to understand, like, I didn't like who I was. I didn't like who I was for the majority of my life. And that's okay. I have the power to change it now.
What was it about yoga that brought such a profound healing and transformation?
What it was about yoga was the breathing, which we know there are scientific benefits to pranayama. It was the breathing, but it was the all-inclusiveness. Every single person belongs in this room, in this space and in this time. And it doesn't matter who you are, how much money you have, what you do for work, who you're married to, what you don't do. Every single person has a home here and a place here, and we all are sharing the same common goal of moving our body because movement feels good. And that's it. And I felt seen. I felt seen even if the instructor didn't even make eye contact with me. I felt like I belonged there. And from an athletic standpoint, I felt strong, powerful, and I felt beautiful in a yoga room. And I needed to get as much of that as I could, which is why I became a yoga teacher.
And what's it been like sharing it now as a teacher?
There's nothing like it. I didn't teach yoga this morning, but what I will say about the power of offering something to someone that moves them is a woman came up to me today after class in tears, which could be a bad sign. It's like, oh my God, did you get hurt or do you hate me? Like, what's going on? And she had come up to me and she's very visibly emotional. And she tells me her name and I had mispronounced it because I heard it differently. And then I was like, do you want a hug? And I was consoling her and I said her name. She's like, no, that's not my name. My name is this. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And she's like, I just need to tell you that, like, that was transformative. It wasn't a yoga class. It was actually a weightlifting class. But it just goes to show you that you can blend the tenets of yoga into anything. But she had said, thank you for staying with me. Thank you for making me feel like I can do anything. And the biggest thing is it's a new year. And I'm going to roll my eyes because everyone's always like, new year, new you. It's not a new you. Who you are before the clock struck midnight on December 31st is a absolutely perfect, wonderful human being. You should never change yourself, but we evolve. We rise up, we elevate. And that's what the new year should represent, as an evolution. And I had talked about that during the coaching of class, and that really resonated with her. And she was moved to tears. And, I made the joke to her as like, listen, when you're sweating, nobody knows. Are they tears or are they sweat? Just let it go.
Well, that was after class. You taught Pure Strength. Great class. You teach an amazing class.
Thank you.
And I had said that a lot of people listening might be going through that same self-talk of, it's a new year, this is going to be the year where I'm going to start working out, or I'm going to do this or that. And I thought it'd be great for you to come in and speak to that, which you've just started to do. So for folks who have that mindset, what are some things you'd like them to maybe fine-tune in the way they're thinking about, like you just already started to speak to, or some advice if they want to start engaging in more movement in their life?
So my biggest thing for people is, I think the gym is used as a vessel of pure aesthetics.
Okay.
I want to look a certain way.
Yeah.
And I depart from that. I have a very unconventional physique for a fitness professional per se. And chiseled abs and defined delts, while they are really awesome, are symptoms of low body fat. And that can be genetic. And just because someone looks a certain way doesn't mean that they're of quality moral character. And that's, to me, more important. And fitness is about equity. At least in my interpretation, it's about equity and empowering all bodies. So for me, it's that transformation of moving away from going to the gym and showing up to a class because I want to look like that or that or that. It's going to the gym because I enjoy moving this because it's a gift. And you have to find, to be, I guess, punny, is find what moves you. Whether that's yoga, Pilates, walking, running, it doesn't matter what it is. And for some people, if that's a boutique studio that you spend $35 a class going to, cool. But it has to be something that lights your heart on fire. And that's my biggest thing, because that's what's going to keep you coming back. If you're doing something because the carrot that's dangling in front of you is, I want to look like this fitness model or this fitness professional, while that's fine and well, it's not enough. Because what we know about external motivators is it's actually a really poor form of motivation. So it has to come from within. It has to be intrinsic. It has to be more than... Because then what happens when you reach that physique? Where do you go from there? So now I look like that person, and you're going to sit down, eat a slice of pizza, and then just say, okay, that's it. Like, where do you go from there? It has to be an evolution. It has to be a self-improvement journey. And it has to be because you love it. And you have to move your body because you love yourself, not as a punishment.
Well, the body type we always use is Michael B. Jordan. Black Panther, shirt off. That's a look like that.
Listen, that would be great. I'm not complaining. I would love to look a certain way. I'm 5 feet tall. Got to be real here. There are certain things that are just not going to happen for me. I'm never going to play basketball. Actually, I can play basketball. I don't think I'm going to be formidable.
We were talking about on a previous episode that, for one, that's his job. And for two, most of us have jobs and families and relationships and side hustles, and we want to feel good and engage in movement. And I 100% agree with you that I had a person that was doing a one-on-one personal assessment with me, and they tried to motivate me. I think they were like, oh, I know what will motivate this guy, because my wedding was coming up. They're like, don't you want to look good for your wedding? I was like, I already look good.
Exactly.
I just like working out because it's fun.
Exactly. And that's always the impression I got from you, even in class. I'm here because I'm glad to be here. And I don't know who's glad at 8:15 in the morning, but you were, and me, because that's my job.
Yes.
But, and that's exactly it. That's a big thing that hurts me to the core is, this concept of sweating for the dress.
Yeah.
I'm getting married, so I need to look good at my wedding. Your significant other, whomever this individual is, loves you for what you have in here and here, and loved you for whatever shell, because this is a shell, that you had when you met and fell in love. So you can choose to sweat for the dress, or I don't even know what the men would say to each other. I'm just being cliche for the women, but like, you know, then what happens? You know, it's that same principle, right? You get in, you know, you want to look good for your wedding. Good is relative, right? What does looking good even mean? So then what happens when you achieve that? The wedding's over, and now do you continue working at that same pace? You set yourself up for failure. And that's usually what happens. I'm willing to bet, and I don't have the science or the numbers on it, but I'm willing to bet that the likelihood of people maintaining the physiques that they work hard for their weddings is very slim. Because they haven't found the purpose to move because they love it and because it's a gift. And I mean it, that movement is a gift. And however we move, because there's adaptive athletes that move, and it blows my mind at the things that these people can do.
Yeah.
You know, the Paralympics and just even CrossFit has adaptations for adaptive athletes. People that are missing limbs, that are doing things that in my wildest dreams I could hope to do.
That's badass.
I know.
I think of in some of my group classes, there's people who society would perceive as overweight, but they take more classes than I do. They lift more than I do. And I see every single week them showing up and kicking ass. But society perceives people completely different and don't know or give credit to this backstory. So we have this constant ideal that this is what is healthy, even if it's not.
It's a constant battle. The most inspiring people who do take my classes, and I talk about this a lot, is there was a woman who used to take my class in downtown LA, morbidly obese. She came in, she introduced herself to me. I introduced, myself, and I said, welcome, I'm so excited you're here. She had explained to me that she had like a lap band or gastric bypass surgery, and she had lost some weight, and this is my quest, this is my journey. The girl came and took every single one of my classes. Never once did she ever say she couldn't do something. And yes, she had to modify. And I always worked really hard to accommodate her in every capacity that I could. A smile on her face, never once said, I'm fat, I can't do this. Never complained. Huge inspiration to everyone in the room. And she pulled up her mat right in the front of the room. And you have to not care what other people think in that respect. But those are the most inspiring people. Those are the most inspiring stories. The person who's at the track, who's extremely overweight because they're taking those steps into getting healthy. We should never shame that or admonish that. We should celebrate that because everyone has a different starting point. And we've all been at that point or another, or at a different point. You didn't have to necessarily be severely overweight, but we've all had a starting point. And we know what it's like to start. And that's the hardest part.
I myself was on the other end of the spectrum. I had one point in my life weighed 110 pounds.
Oh, wow.
I weigh like 205 right now. So there was somebody, I was reading an article was saying that people kept saying to her, oh my God, you look so healthy. And she kept getting thinner and thinner and thinner. Turned out she had cancer. But people just kept saying to her, you look so healthy, because she was thin. And it's this kind of fatphobia society where thin is healthy no matter what. It's crazy.
You're right, because in my world, the compliment that people will say to me is, you're looking really lean. Thank you. I'm glad I look lean. But, and then if someone says you look really healthy, it's like, it could be insulting. Like, oh my God, like, is my face fat? Am I fluffy? Like, it's like you're looking really lean or you're looking really healthy. When did healthy become a negative connotation? Yeah. And, we want to look lean. I had posted recently on my Instagram story a picture from Athleta, which is Gap's fitness line. They had two women. One woman was a very tall, thin woman, and another one was what I would consider a woman that had a body type similar to me. I hate to use like a larger frame, but she had a frame of a typical woman in the gym. Didn't have defined arms, didn't have chiseled abs, didn't have defined teardrop quads, and she had no shirt on. And I posted on my story, that thank you, amen, to Athleta for putting a real woman in real clothes. And I received some backlash from it, and I haven't addressed it yet, that some people had slid into my DMs saying, well, are you inferring that the woman juxtaposed to her is not a real woman? And perhaps maybe my verbiage could have been different, but I think that what the point that's being missed is, and the context of who was saying it, these are people that open up a magazine or look at a billboard and everyone looks like them. Mm-hmm. I don't look at a billboard and see someone who looks like me. I don't see a fitness video with a girl who looks like me, with a big butt, juicy thighs, and a soft tummy. A real person. I don't see that. And that's my point, is that this is the representation. Every single item of clothing I have to buy has to be altered because they don't make clothes for short people. Yeah. And they don't make clothes for girls that have small waists and big booties. Mm-hmm. So everything has to be custom made for my body, but I'm not this outlier. Mm-hmm. Everyone in my life looks like me. Yeah. And so my whole point is we are not an inclusive community. We're a fitness community that's saying we're here to empower you. We want everyone to get healthy. Yet the messaging we're saying is you need to look a certain way. And I'm not devaluing this tall, thin woman. Good for her. Live your best life. But what I'm saying is we need to be inclusive.
Well, I think it's, there is thin privilege. Like there's white privilege. And
Absolutely.
It's the same thing whenever there's a conversation of representation, that people who have the privilege and are used to being the norm are always like, what? Why do you got to isolate me?
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly it. And that's that, like I had said, to contextualize where the commentary, the backlash where I was getting was from these people who were more similar to the girl dressed in yellow. And I don't ever want to alienate anyone. That's not my goal and aim in anything that I do. And I could see how someone felt that my words hurt them. Mm-hmm. And I don't ever want to hurt anyone. But, it boils down to is you don't really know how it ever feels to be me. Yeah. And listen, I don't know what it feels like to be you. Maybe it's really hard for you to buy clothes as well because you are very thin, and my tall friends, same plight. They can't find things that fit them. Yeah. Everything is like at their knees is capri. As a short person, the only thing I can buy in a store are capri pants. And I know this is a conversation that might be well beyond your realm.
It's all good. My listeners are with you.
But it's like, I don't want to always buy capri pants. I want me some full length pants. Yeah. It doesn't always have to be a capri pant. So it's fitness should be about empowering all bodies, all fitness levels, all shapes, all sizes. So ads, classes, magazines, videos, everything should show a variety of shapes, sizes, and colors.
So one thing I'm hearing is that when you're starting the year, start with the belief already that you're amazing and that it's an evolution, and to find some sort of internal drive that's more than just aesthetics that'll motivate you to bring movement into your life.
Absolutely. That was perfect. You're a good listener.
I appreciate that.
That was exactly it.
I want to give my personal plug. I always recommend that people do group fitness. I don't do any solo fitness except for running.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wow.
I think that as adults, we have very little places we can hoot and holler. Mm-hmm. If you go to recess, kids are literally just yelling.
Lord of the Flies.
They're just yelling for the sake of yelling.
Yeah.
And other than when people watch sports, there's really not a place you can go where like you're exerting yourself and can be like, woo! And then someone's like, yeah, woo! So I think it's so great, the psychology of coming together with strangers and doing some sort of group activity.
It's about community, right? You make friends if you're open to it. Yeah. It's always my biggest thing as a group fitness instructor, when so many of the classes we teach are about facilitating community, where you don't have to talk to someone and become best friends with them, but high five them, ask them their name. And typically we frequent the same classes on the same days of the week. So you see the same people and you look around this room and you see all these people, but we're not going to say hi to each other. That's weird. Agreed. Like the greatest friends I have in my life are my fitness professional friends or my friends, people I meet in class. A lot of my friends are members, people that have taken my classes and eventually we're like, listen, I like you, you like me, let's hang out. That kind of thing. And I think in adulthood, we stop playing. So like that recess point, we're not playing. Group fitness allows us to play, but it also allows us to meet people that are not at our jobs, and you get to be someone completely different in your stretchy pants and in your t-shirt, and come to this class and high five, laugh, smile, get a good sweat on, and leave feeling good about yourself.
Exactly. There was something I was hearing someone say. It was something to the effect of live a life where if something happened to you, like after a couple of days, somebody would know. And like if you were just dropped dead, and nobody knows for years because you don't have any community. And one time, it was Ramadan, so I wasn't going to work out while I was fasting. So I didn't show up to the club for 30 days. And so somebody that took classes with me remembered my name, Googled me, found my website, and submitted a question through our query form that was like, I haven't seen Tom in a while. Is he okay?
Oh my God.
Isn't that amazing?
Beautiful.
And I was like...
That's beautiful.
And I didn't know who they were, so I replied. I was like, I'm cool, thanks so much. And then in class one time, they told me, like, oh, that was me. I was like, that was so cool of you.
So, it speaks volumes. I notice when people don't show up.
Yeah.
I had this conversation today. My cousin's visiting, and I was talking to her because she had said, I can tell, like, you know these people. I said, I see them more than I see my family.
Yeah.
I see these people same time, same place.
Yep.
Every week, I'm showing up for this date. You're showing up for this date. And the thing is fitness is vulnerable. You come into a room and you are trusting me with you at your most vulnerable.
Yeah.
Sweaty and tired.
And probably with the least amount of clothes I've been wearing all day.
Yeah. And for a lot of people, yes. I mean, fitness clothes, we don't make athletic wear that you can use that's like baggy per se, especially for women, right? It's... leggings, shorts, or sweatpants, and wearing sweatpants is not really conducive to moving in a HIIT format kind of class. So, if you're insecure about your body, or if you're coming into this completely new, wearing, leggings can be a huge challenge. And I know that that's a conversation I have with like my mom who, in her early 60s started getting into yoga, which I'm so excited about.
That's awesome.
But she won't go take yoga beyond her development where she lives in Florida, where she retired to.
Yeah.
And she won't go because she says, well, I'm not good at yoga. And the other thing is instructors. If an instructor's physique is intimidating to her. So when she came to LA, I took her to a yoga class, and I took her to an instructor, friend of mine who I knew would be the perfect person for her to take class. And my mom said to me, I'm really excited because this woman looks like me, And again, that kind of comes back to the point of what we were saying, right? But the point is that, these classes, these communities, these people, I notice when you're not there.
Yeah.
I had said to my cousin today, oh, X, Y, or Z, like, I haven't seen this person in a couple of weeks. Now, on my end, it's a little creepy if I start reaching out to you. And I was like, where were you? Why weren't you here? But I notice. A girl got injured. She got injured prior to my class, and then she had exasperated the injury in my class months ago. And I had addressed the situation, and then she wasn't in the gym for months. Last week, she showed up. And I gave her a hug, and I was like, welcome back. Are you cleared? Are you cleared to work out? Like, she's like, I'm all healed, and I know my limitations. But she was so grateful that I noticed and I cared. I was like, how could I not care?
Yeah.
I care about humans. I care about your success, and I care about your body. I want you to feel good in your body because this is supposed to keep you healthy and feeling good in your body. I think our girls, whether they're of minority origin or not, we just marginalize our female population. And as a woman, I know what it feels like in a gym, because up until, recently when I've taken my healing journey, I was a competitive weightlifter. And do you know how crappy it is to be a woman at a squat rack? Are you done with that? Can I work in? Are you done with that? No, I'm not done. And no, you can't work in. And the looks that men give you, when you're loading the weight on the deadlift bar, and I don't mean to be an asshole and be like, sorry, I'm not lifting you by 100 pounds. But I'm going to be because you're an asshole to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm a girl.
Sexist asshole.
It's so, and they lurk, and I sometimes I haven't done it in a while because I haven't been lifting heavy, but I would post these things on my stories and on Facebook, the men just lurking and lurking and lurking because I'm a woman and I can't lift weight and I can't, snatch, and I can't clean, and I can't squat or bench. If you look in Miracle Mile when you go, how many women do you ever see on the bench? I'm willing to bet next to never. So it's like a class like Pure Strength. What I love about it is that we have bench work.
Yeah.
Because we're women, there's a misnomer about their chest and things like that. And there's, these are, so from a functionality standpoint, right? On your back, being able to push something away from you. We live in California. If there's an earthquake and something should fall on you, if you've never used these muscles, how do you expect to push something off of you? It's just a functionality thing, right? So I feel a sense of obligation, right, to bringing this to people. And like we've talked about, we know the power of like, even my sister, I showed her how to squat and how to deadlift, and she's hooked. She hired a trainer in Equinox, New York, and like sends me her deadlift videos every day. She's like, I can't believe I'm doing this. She's like, Ari, I'm almost as strong as you. I'm like, no, but keep going.
There's such a gender segregation in working out. Like I'll hear people say like, oh, ladies, like lift less so like your arms don't look big. Or I'll take bar classes and I take like, different Pilates, and usually I'm the only guy in there. And so I'm always like, why is there even in this like gendered aspect?
So in group fitness, the demographic is typically female. Let's be stereotypical. Women don't know how to work out. Men do. Men are on the floor. Men lift weights. Girls take 2-pound dumbbells because they don't want to get big. This is, again, we're just being stereotypical because I don't subscribe to this bullshit at all. I'm willing to bet 90% of women come to group fitness classes because they don't know how to navigate the floor.
That's why I take group fitness.
I'm happy to show you.
I'm
happy to like on a Saturday or Sunday, we can go to the gym together, and I'm happy to we can do a workout together, or I take you through and show you how to use shit.
But my worry is that I might then, after the first time you show me, develop bad habits. And also, I love group fitness. So for one, I won't ever develop a bad habit because y'all see it. Two, every time I go to a group class, even if it's the same class, it's never the same.
Which is awesome. But you can get programming. There's an app, bodybuilding.com has a great app that you can just plug in what you want to do, and it gives you the programming, and it even times your rest period so you don't, take 20 minutes. And I swear to God, it's so intuitive. So you'll be working out, and let's say, so for my rest, and then I'll get on my phone, and then the bodybuilding app will give me a pop-up and says, put your phone down, get back to work.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So if you're not comfortable programming, but so that's the whole point though, is that you're a confident male and you don't subscribe to these gender roles, stereotypical things. So you can go into a class that may be predominantly female and not feel emasculated. Most men feel like it's a girly class to go to Pilates or bar, or I don't do yoga is what men will say. You should do yoga because you look like The Rock, and that's amazing. Can you touch your toes? That's not functional,
I'm more worried when I go into classes that are all women that I'm invading a safe space. That now people have to worry, is a guy going to be looking at me or create some sort of weird energy? No.
I love when I see a male go into a class and I'm taking it. It's cool. This is fun. The thing that's also sad about it is, what we tell people, straight guys that want to meet girls is go take group fitness classes. So you're going to meet girls, and there's truth to that. And it's actually kind of a brilliant idea, it's and not in a creepy sort of way, but because it's the same class, these people take the same classes. So you get to know people. I've had tons of people that have met in my classes. I met my husband in fitness. So it's it's not weird or creepy, for people to do that. It's not any weirder than swiping right or left or whatever on an app. You know what I'm saying? So, but the thing is it's a battle that I don't know how to fight. Pure strength will attract more men, but it will also not, because the max weights we have are 40s. So like, you know, your bench press isn't going to be more than 80. And for some men, that's how they warm up. So they don't want that. But what, I don't know, you know, and then there's the girls who are afraid of the class because they're afraid of getting big. And what they, no matter what we tell them about the science, that your 2-pound dumbbell that you're pulsing, you're like, oh my God, I feel the burn. I feel the burn. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's lactic acid. That's your body's response to movement. So yes, you feel the burn. You're not building muscle. You're not building muscle. And girls think, if I'm lifting a 20-pound dumbbell, I'm going to look like the Hulk. No, what you're going to do is become an efficient fat-burning machine, and you're going to melt fat, which will lean you. You want to look like a CrossFit athlete? You have to train like a CrossFit athlete. You're not training like one.
Do you have any general advice for people around starting to move more?
Well, it depends on where you're coming from.
Okay.
So moving more is relative.
Okay.
For someone who is already active, moving more, or someone like, I think of my mother in her early 60s moving.
Yeah.
She's been sedentary her whole life, my mom. She retired with my father, and I'm originally from New York, and it's a real stereotypical thing that, you know, Long Island Jews migrate down to Florida to retire. Okay. And I say it's a real stereotypical thing because, like, everyone in Florida that in my family, everyone's left, and all my friends' families have left. They migrate to Florida. So my parents are now Floridians. But my mom, she's doing water aerobics. She's making friends. She goes to dinner with friends. She goes to yoga. She, what else does she do? Oh, she bike rides now with my father. And my father has spinal stenosis, and he's very limited, but he's bike riding. They're doing things. They're moving. So it's like, start wherever. Any beginning is a start, and that's it. So, you know, I went bike riding with my dad. I went with my dad because this may be the only time I'm ever going to go bike riding with my dad. Yeah. You know, ever since I was a kid. And was it a workout for me? No, it's not about that. It's not even about getting your heart rate up and sweating. It's about what brings you bliss. And my father loves riding his bike. My mother and my father love riding together. Like, so my advice to starting is maybe, and I don't necessarily think starting with a friend, because they say in the new year, find a friend for accountability. And then your friend doesn't show up, so then you don't show up. Yeah. And that's what happens. So it's not even about that, because you have to take the onus. I have to take the onus. You have to have that sense of ownership and self-worth that you are worthy of starting regardless of where you are. So my biggest advice is try different things. Try different instructors, try different facilities, try different places. And the other thing is if you take a fitness class with an instructor and you don't enjoy it, reflect on it. What didn't you enjoy about it? Was it the music? Was the workout so hard that you walked away and you're like, I hate that person? You have to think about what it was that you didn't enjoy and what it was that you did enjoy. And my biggest thing I tell people is when you take a class from someone and you go, I didn't like that instructor, take their class again. Maybe you were having an off day. Maybe they were having an off day. And maybe what you were bringing to the table that day affected your ability to garner the lessons that they potentially could teach you.
I'm so guilty of that in spin classes.
Oh, you take it once with an instructor and then you're like, I hate that person.
Yeah, oh my God, that was terrible.
No.
I take it more times, but I've learned that I bring this, like, I want you to be hooting and hollering at me, and I want the music to be like this, and if it's not meeting my perfect expectation within the first 5 minutes, I've written you off. So I've done such a better job of catching myself.
You're not abnormal. You are normal. But you said something, you said expectation. And that's the key. Plant an expectation, reap a disappointment. And that is exactly how I live my life. We all do this. You go in with an expectation. I do it as a fitness instructor. It is terrible. Like, the worst thing is like, and my husband also works in fitness, and we work for the same company. So what do we talk about 99% of the time? Fitness. We talk about the gym. We talk about the company. We talk about members. We talk about instructors. We talk about what happened in our classes. Like, we call each other always after we teach. I'm like, Like this is all we talk about. But I love it. We met in fitness, and it's a fiber that continues to bind us. But that's my thing. I take a class and I have to consciously turn this off, the instructor mode of, I'm evaluating you in my head.
Yes, agreed.
Your music sucks. Like, oh, well, that's not how you do it. And that's the wrong format.
Not how my favorite teacher normally does it.
Exactly. But you also start to learn like who your people are.
Yeah.
And I know who my people are, but, and it takes a long time, and I'm not fully there, but it's about surrender. And that's what we learned from yoga, is surrendering. So I take a yoga class, and very often I will go work out at clubs where I don't teach. So I'm invisible. So I'm not like, oh, hey, Arielle, how are you? And I'm like, I want to be invisible because I want to move my body and breathe and just be there for me. And that's it. So that's my secret, is to go to clubs where I don't teach, so nobody knows me. So I can just blend into the background.
Smart.
Yeah.
So you might have heard me say at the beginning that this is my year of grace. And every year I have a year of something. Last year is my year of courage. And
that's cool.
The reason I do that is to invite it into my life, but also to explore that with my guests. And just to see what these words that can sometimes become buzzwords, what they actually really mean to everyday people.
Well, I'm also kind of curious about what that means to you now, because I kind of want to know, what that means on a day-to-day basis for you. But I'll answer the question first if you want.
It's up to you, whichever you want.
You go first.
Honestly, it's more of a feeling. And that's why I want to take a year to put it into words. So far for me, I heard somebody say, one of my guests, say that it's a gift. I really do like that. I like that. To me, though, it's the way I look at grace is I am a really person. So I like yoga, but I get so wound up.
Which is probably why we get along as people, because I'm like,
ugh. Exactly.
That's my energy.
And so I needed to release that. So when I go work out, I like something where I'm like, rah, biking and yelling and throwing things and I'm done, I'm drained. And so grace to me is when I'm banging my head against a task or a wall, or I'm pushing with everything I have, and instead I let go. I breathe and I pause, and there's this energy that comes in where the perfect person I needed to talk to calls me, or that idea that I've been trying to think of comes to me in the shower, or on a walk I see the sunset come up, and that feeling, that to me is grace.
I think that's the fact that you said that it's a feeling is what I would also agree with in encompassing grace. I say that often actually in my coaching of how I work with people and in my classes is move with grace and integrity. And those are I pair them together, grace and integrity. And I don't know how much people are actually really listening to me when I'm on that mic and you're working and you're sweating and there's music and you're moving and there's all sorts of stimuli going on. But I know that it catches with some people. They're catching what I'm throwing out there. And what I mean by move with grace and integrity is having a respect for yourself, to hold yourself in any capacity, not just in fitness, but to have this. It's like I say this, with walking with purpose, shoulders back, head up high. And I think all too often, forget about the phone situation where we're slumped over like this, is that we're not confident in who we are. So we try to shrink ourselves and make ourselves as small as we can and take up as little space as possible because we don't want to be seen. We don't want anyone to see us or see our bodies. And so we hide them behind baggy clothes and sweatshirts, which I'm totally guilty of, and these kinds of things, right? So I think for me, grace and integrity, I think are to me, they have to be together in the way I interpret it is having the ability to move through life and navigate yourself through space with the sense of confidence, to believe in yourself, to move mindfully, to live purposefully. And I say integrity because integrity, treating other people the way they deserve to be treated or should be treated, are actually correcting that, is that treating people the way you would hope to be treated. So grace and integrity, how many times have people mistreated you and mistreated me? and mistreated other people. But grace and integrity means you don't mistreat them back. You're kind and you're compassionate, because the reality is that when people mistreat us, it's not a reflection of us. It's a reflection of whatever storms they're waging in their life, whether it be personal or professional. And I think about that often when I'm in class and I'm teaching and I go to help someone and they're not very kind to me. So I step back. And then there's always that dialogue of like, oh my God, like what I do, like, and then I have to remember like, that wasn't me. I was trying to help. That wasn't me. And that's okay. So that's what this person's dealing with. Maybe I'll check in with them later on, but it wasn't me. So, you know, grace and integrity, navigating the world purposefully, treating others with kindness, and having the sense of confidence to know that you are so worthy and so valuable. Shoulders back, head up high, be proud of who you are.
Yes. I mean, we're going to edit that, put some music to it. People can use it as an alarm clock.
You can put it on your iPod when you're getting ready to run, you know, like before you run the LA Marathon. You know, it's like, here you go, Arielle's word.
Where can folks reach out to you to let you know how much they appreciate you and be a part of your community?
I love how you put that.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure.
I love when people take class and they tell me how much they love me and how great I am. And it's like, tell me more, tell me more.
Is that one of your love languages, words of affirmation?
Oh, God, I love that book, actually. I don't know. I think it changes. I would say perhaps maybe gifts. I hate to say that. You know, like, because when someone has that they thought of you, you know, they see something and they think of you and they bring it to you. Or my husband's love language is acts of service. So we speak two different love languages. And like my husband, and I know that's a total sidebar, but he is so easy to make happy. I mean, and I'm not as easy to make happy. He is so easy to make happy, and he's so grateful for everything I do for him. Like if I do the dishes or take out the trash, which I know is his love language, and I know it's just those little itty bitty things. Or I picked up his dry cleaning one day, and he like thanked me profusely for picking up his dry cleaning. But that goes to speak to, that's his love language. That's how he interprets that I love him, is through that. But I would say, you know, definitely it's, you know, affirmations for sure. And that kind of just reaffirms like, yeah, girl, you're on the right track. Like when someone tells me how much, like that member had mentioned that she was so moved in class today, it's like, you got my messaging. The messaging was clear. It just reaffirms it. So to answer your question.
Where they can give you gifts and affirmations.
Yes. Where you can give gifts, please send to. My social media, Instagram is really the best way to get me. You can slide into my DMs. I do read the requests. So if I don't follow you, I will click and see the request kind of thing. And I'll decide if I want to respond or not.
Makes sense.
But my Instagram, so Arielle_Miller.
Okay.
Which my hair color is different now. It was purple there, and I had pink hair for a long time. And I always would tell people like, it's very obviously me. But now it's like very obviously kind of me. Because my hair is blonde now. Okay. But Instagram is the best way to get a hold of me. And then I do have my website, which is thegirlwithpurplehair.com, where it talks about services that I offer, and my blog that I don't write regularly enough, but have been working on making it more regular for my people. Okay.
Well, I appreciated your last two blog posts. They're very,
thank you.
Like you've been sharing in this episode, very vulnerable, and
thank you.
Appreciate that.
It's been an interesting year, meaning last year, 2018, and continues to be a constant thing. You know, you guys don't know out there what Tom is referencing, but I was just talking about like my health struggles and things like that. And it's, you know, and I think that's the biggest takeaway is just because I stand in a different place in a room doesn't mean I don't struggle. And I think the biggest messaging I always want to get out to people is that I am real and I see you for who you are. And that's why I'm very public and very honest in every endeavor, because honesty is really important, because I feel like I'd be selling a lie if every day were sunshine and rainbows. It's not. And that's okay.
Agreed. And I think that adversity, when we move through it, it's really what creates the growth.
Absolutely. It's what,
like working out.
It's character, you know, and, you know, anyone can be amazing when it's easy, when the money's rolling in, and you know, when you've reached your peak performance, and it's very easy to have that mindset and say, you know, I'm a person of highly developed character, and you know, I have a great moral compass. But you know, it's twofold, right? What happens when the going is tough? How do you climb yourself out of this massive hole? Because it's that grit, that perseverance, and those are traits, grit and perseverance. That's what you need to be not good, but great at anything. You need grit. And the hard times is what cultivates that character. There's like this great saying I use in my cycling classes because it's a great metaphor for hills.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure during that 12-minute song you shared with me, it was probably a hill.
It was everything.
Yeah. And his last song for 12 minutes, you're like, what is this? 12 minutes. But classically, people hate in cycling classes seated climbs.
Yes.
You're thinking, when are we going to get out of the saddle? When are we going to get out of the saddle? When can I just turn this off and get on my feet the whole time, right? That's where I'm going to come in and tell you, you got to get real comfortable being uncomfortable. And you're like, I hate this dogma, that whole cycle. But you think about this, you know, this is the reality of the situation is that discomfort is what cultivates that growth. But I say be a hill seeker. Be a hill seeker, meaning don't shy away from the hard, the grit, that good old-fashioned roll those sleeves up, elbow grease kind of stuff, because that is what grows you the most. You're in that hill in a situation that you've decided already from your preconceived notion, you know, or I hate this. I don't want to be here. And this is really hard. Reformulating that dialogue of this is hard, but it leads me to a greater goal. This is hard. It's making me stronger inside and out. This is hard, but it's showing me that I'm freaking awesome.
Yes.
I can do this. So be a hill seeker, because once you get to the top, you get to enjoy the flat all the way down. And you get to revel in it.
It's even sweeter.
Exactly. Because if it's always like this, like what's the fun in that?
The contrast.
And it's the same thing of you have to walk in darkness to appreciate the light. And darkness is relative for everyone. And for me, and I say this because I've struggled with depression, anxiety. I was also in a relationship, a very unhealthy relationship prior to meeting my husband. I had been dating someone who had a substance abuse problem. And I didn't grow up. I didn't know anyone that had issues with drugs and alcohol. So highly stigmatized in my household and, you know, my family, and just no fault of their own. But, you know, and I would just say out of ignorance, felt that addiction was some sort of moral breakdown, let's say. And that was kind of my mindset because that's all I knew from my family. And then I met and fell in love with this person that had a serious drug addiction that I didn't know. I lost everything in my relationship with him. And fortunately, it's all been regained. But I, you know, at a point had like nowhere to live. He had robbed me. He pawned things I owned. He robbed my friends. Distanced me and isolated me from the people that loved me. And in the time I thought like, oh my God, this is what you do when you love someone. It's gotta be hard. It's gotta be hard. It's gotta continue to beat you down. And I feel differently now about love. If you guys want to know those thoughts, I'll tell you. But walking in that darkness taught me so much. It showed me compassion through going to, you know, AA meetings and starting to really have a dialogue with my friends of mine who are sober and have a respect and a love and an admiration for people that are sober. And I walked away from this experience with this gentleman with that, but also knowing that I'm worthy of real love, and that wasn't real love. And that I'm so worthy of someone treating me the way I deserve to be treated. I met my husband 3 months after I had the courage and I say the courage to finally leave him. And I moved and didn't tell him where I was living because if I told him, he wouldn't let me go. And I met my husband 3 months later. So I had to free myself. But I'm so grateful for that darkness because had I have not walked in it, and I would walk in it again over and over and over again because all of these things happened that led me ultimately to my husband. And had I have not been with that person, I wouldn't have only found my human.
Yes. So many gems.
I'm just like loading it all on. It's getting real heavy.
But seriously, that's what we need.
I think so. I agree.
I think one of the biggest curses that can happen to a person is that they're good at things on their first try. Mm-hmm. Especially if you're young. Like, you try something you're really good at, you get a lot of praise, because you never know what it's like to run into that situation where you just suck at something you want to rock at. Are
you familiar with Dr. Carol Dweck at all? She's the growth mindset, because it's exactly what you just said. She's a psychologist, and she also does a lot of work in education. And this concept of growth mindset is exactly what you said. Is there's this, especially in education, in elementary school, when little Bobby can do 2 + 2 is 4. Oh, Bobby, you're so smart. Good job, Bobby. So Bobby didn't struggle, let's say. That was easy. Bobby now equates success with his self-worth of being smart, right? So what we don't celebrate enough is little Sally, who's over here, who's grappling, and she's maybe writing out the numbers and tick marks, and she gets 2 + 2 is 5. But we see her whole process and her struggle, and we say, I love how hard you tried on that problem. Like, I know that was really challenging for you. Talk to me about your process. Okay, so I love how hard you worked on it. Good job. The answer is incorrect. But what you did to get there was fantastic. And that's the celebration, right? It's not necessarily about the end product. And that's exactly what, you're speaking to, is it's a curse to be gifted at something that first time, because you don't get that grit, that perseverance. You don't get that trial and error, that opportunity to cultivate that character that we're talking about.
Well, maybe in a future episode we can have you come back, because you not only have your master's, but you are a master.
Thank you.
Already training educators and, bringing in, instead of just training young people, how to actually educate, how to actually facilitate that learning experience.
I'm like a modern day Renaissance woman.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reward of following your heart.
I agree. Absolutely.
So, hopefully we can have you back and hear more of those things.
I would love to come back. Thank you.
My pleasure. So for folks listening, if you're on the go, you didn't get a chance to write down those links, tomrell.com/Arielle, A-I, nope.
A-R. I was going to let you go with that, though.
I was like, I don't think the I comes after the A. Okay, tomrell.com/ARIELLE.
Yes.
Woo! See, I'm rewarded for trying.
That's all that matters. Give it your best effort.
So otherwise, tomrell.com/blog if you're listening to it within the week it came out. But if you're listening to it years, months, weeks later, you got to go to tomrell.com/Arielle. And that's where you'll find all the links, show notes, where you can connect with Arielle. And once again, give her gifts and affirmations. So I want to thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was an honor.
I've been telling guests this year that, you took a leap of faith. I, after class, was like, hey, think you could be a guest on the show you've never heard of?
I was so excited.
I appreciate it so much.
I love that stuff. I love being able to just meet good quality people, do good quality work, and get positive messaging out there, because I think there's so much doom and gloom that we just need to really focus on all of the good things and the good people that are already out there in our community doing great things. And you're doing great things, and I'm doing great things. So great things. Here we go.
High five worthy.
I love it.
Boom. So the way we conclude our ritual is that you get to leave the audience with an invitation. An invitation to consider, to think about, to do, to become, to evolve into. What's your invitation?
Oh, that is a big one. Yes. I love that, though. I am going to give you an invitation to love yourself. I'm going to give you the permission, and I might cry because I'm super emotional and very sensitive, but I'm going to give you the invitation to accept yourself with who you are, where you are, and to be open to starting any journey in your life right here, right now, and being okay with this is your starting point, because it's only up from here.
Amen.
Amen, man.
Yes, indeed.
I love it.
Well, thank you once again.
Thank you. You're very welcome.
And to all those listening, as always, we're wishing you peace and blessings. Thank you. One more thing. I'd love to continue the conversation. Feel free to join me at tomrell.com/join. Subscribe below or let's connect on social media. Tom Earl Artist. Thanks again for watching.